So tell me about the day that your father told you that he was getting married.
Yes, he came to our apartment and we were all sitting around the kitchen table and he told us he was going to get married. We had never met Mary. We never met her until their wedding day. And Patsy, because she was Daddy's girl, no crying. She better be good to you, Daddy. And I was glad for him because I hadn't met her yet. Really, I was. But that's it. Another story about Patsy and Daddy, which I think is so funny. She was not a great one for. She would go to school, but she took a day off one day to go to the movies downtown with her friends. And my father happened to be in town with his wife. Um, and this is how he tells us the story. And he says, and whatever look I gave, he always said that, whatever look I gave, I said, that is my Patsy. She was walking on your back. He saw her figure. He said, that's my Patsy. I can tell by her walk. And he got her and get home. We were still in the home, I guess. Yeah. Hmm.
Now, I think he caught Aunt Kay at the movies one day
He
too.
did. He did. And helped her climb back in the window. And Aunt Kay was very independent and way more daring than any of us ever were. She did what she wanted to because she hated it at the home. She hated it from the first minute we got there. In fact, we had a reunion and all of us went. And Kay had like a really bizarre feeling and couldn't wait to get out of there. And I didn't, none of the rest of us did. She was so angry, I guess, about Mother dying. I don't know. So it was hard for her. But she's funny. She, during the war, one time she went around and found all the loose metal she could find, sold it, and got the money. And she used to steal like crazy from called the sisters' room, and run in there, grab candy, grab anything that was around. I did it for jelly beans. There was a big carton of jelly beans there. And so I ran in, I got two hands full, and then I went into the bathroom and sat in the stool until I ate them all. Because I sat on the pot because I didn't want anybody to see me, know that I stole the jelly beans. I try to think of more about Kay. My father gave Nellie $1. That's every week. 50 cents for her and 50 cents for Pop Pop. For your mother. Oh, Pat. And then he gave Kay $1, 50 cents for her, 50 cents for me. And every Saturday, I'd say to Kay, I want my money. And she would say, you're not getting it. All the time. It drove me crazy. I was like, I'm not giving it to you. Until finally we'd fight. And I would have fingernail marks all over my arms. And I used to put wet towels on them. And walk around like, oh. And she was just she would. And we'd go to the movies. We loved the movies. We went to the movies every chance we got. We were only allowed to on a Saturday and Sunday. And everybody would get together and say, all right, who's going to ask if we can go to the movies? You had to get permission. And talk for that, like for about an hour. I'm not doing it. You do it. And then finally we go up and knock on the door of the community room. And Sister Carmelite, who was our superior, would come to the door, and we used to tell her it was a cowboy movie most of the time. Because they had the newspaper that, what do they call that? Oh, it's the Standard Times, Catholic Standard Times. And they had all the movies that people shouldn't see. So if you said cowboy movie, you were safe. But she mostly let us go. And I remember Christmas. Oh, I had so much fun that year. Um, I don't know where I got the money, but I went to the movies every single day of my Christmas vacation. And it only cost a dime then. And I enjoyed that. I still remember what I had on. I had a red shirt on and straps and a red pleated skirt. I wore it every day I went to movies. I loved it because it like spun, you know. Um,
Did you get that dress for Christmas?
I can't remember where I got that dress. I really can't. And I wore a dress one time to church, a new dress, and I had a neckline like this. And before I went into church, that Sister Amelia put a handkerchief like up to here. Just like that. That's absurd. God. Um,
So what was the movie like? Was there one movie, a newsreel?
oh, yeah, great. And they would have short shorts when they had like something that would last about 10 or 15 minutes, some kind of a little film, or they would have travel film, and they would have of course cartoons, and then the movie. Oh, Movie Tone News, I forgot about that. Movie Tone News. I loved everything about the movies. And the candy that I got at the movies. Um, we all did. We all enjoyed them and went whenever we could. So let me think.
Well, so tell me more about the nuns there, like Sister Amelia. What else?
She was an intelligent woman. They didn't educate her, but she was like everybody's favorite teacher when she would fill in if one of the nuns couldn't make it or sick or whatever. And she would fill in. She was a good teacher, really good. She kept you interested. But she was also caused a lot of trouble whispering about everybody, telling people that this child is illegitimate and this child is illegitimate. Yeah, really. And then, of course, she told everybody in the world that my father had a drinking problem. She told me that myself because I didn't know what was wrong, what he was doing that was making him like that. But she's the one who told me. She was just vicious. She was mean. And look that's her that dragged Kay down the steps. And she shouldn't have been a nun. Not really. She came over from Ireland as a young girl, like 17 years old, and went right into the convent. She never talked about her home in Ireland. And she was really I told you, the bane of my existence because I used to go to this woman's house. This is weird. She would pick me up. Her name was, I don't care. And she would take me in her car, and I'd go to her house for weekends. And her husband would always want me to sit in his lap. But I wouldn't do it. I'd back away. He used to wear a clear nail polish. And all the Irish guys never would do anything like that. But he frightened me. But she was nice to me, and she gave me a ring. And it was a pearl and 2 baguettes. And Sister Amelia took it away from me. And she said, you can only wear this on Sunday. So she went away for a retreat. They go like for 3 weeks or something. I got the ring, put it on, and I lost it. No, she was away longer than that. All summer, I worried what she was going to do. When she had that kind of a hold on me, you know. But, well, I'm not going to tell you this.
Tell me.
It's about a priest.
Well, let's hear it.
I think the reason she cultivated me is because she liked a certain priest. And she got me to mail her letters to him. And she would wrap them in a handkerchief. And she'd say, get a magazine. And I would stick it inside the magazine. And I would mail them. Anytime she wanted me to mail them. And I think she was looking for somebody like that. You know, somebody who's easy to mold. And yeah, I do. But she did too much damage to children in the home. She really did. She could knock you flat.
So when you would mail the letters for her, did she ever get any letters back?
I don't know. I used to think, how come he doesn't write back? He probably doesn't like her. Not that I'm saying there was a romance or anything, but this man, I knew him. I had seen him and heard him talk. He was a no-nonsense kind of a guy, so I just can't imagine why she would be writing to him. You can make up a story like when you're a kid. Why is she writing to him? It's so, you can't understand it. You know, she's a nun.
Did you feel bad mailing the letters?
No. Mm-mm. No, I just did it. I could go out when I mailed the letters. You know, I was getting a trip up to the drugstore. So,
She never gave you anything for doing it?
no. I think she was a kind of user. I really do. But what kind of a life did she have, poor thing? In the convent at 17? No life at all. A lot of them were very young when they came there. And I don't understand that kind of devotion. It's
Well,
too
a lot of
much.
people did it because they were poor, and this was you were guaranteed always if somebody's taking care
And
of you.
as Patsy said, they're also their parents. When we were young, if you had a son a priest or a sister a nun, that was really something. And everybody was pushing it. When the boys were in 8th grade, they came around and gave them all kinds of literature about being a priest. I think that's terrible. I don't think they do it anymore. But,
What about the altar boys? At
oh, yeah. Poor guys. Jimmy Ford, oh, I shouldn't say names, huh? Jimmy Ford and Vincent Cassidy. Every kid in the home had a crush on them. Every kid. And the little young one, what was his name? He liked your mother. Little kid with blonde hair, he was so cute. And my girlfriend and I had a crush on Vincent Cassidy. The poor kids, if they knew how many women were, I love him, you know. And one night in bed, I slept next to my best friend, Aggie, and she said, Mary, and she said, Vincent Cassidy. And then she broke out laughing, and you know how it is. We were laughing our heads off. What she was trying to say was, Vincent Cassidy's face is full of pimples. But yeah, any guy who came in the house, we were all, And Peggy Meehan had a brother who was a sailor. And he wasn't bad looking. So I was like, and I was a freshman. Because I had Latin. And in this Latin thing, it says, Norte sunt periculosa. And it means sailors are dangerous. So, oh, I feel like such a fool. So I said that to him like he would know Latin. Yeah.
You said it to him as a way to flirt with him?
Yes. You know, really. I think I was about 14. Cutie pie. Can I smoke while I talk, sir? Um,
Because you guys never got to see any boys, right? Oh, hold on a second. I'm pausing. See, it's weird because it says the second span on the TV. Yeah. Okay, okay, just say that about Bruce.
I was trying to flirt with him by saying my Latin phrase.
How old was he, do you think?
I guess he was in his 20s. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because how much contact did you guys have
None.
with boys?
None. I remember so well when I realized I really liked boys. I went with one of the girls who was in the home and had gone to live with her mother in an apartment. And we were outside. There was snow all over the ground. And these boys started throwing snowballs at us. And that's when I thought, God, they're cute. And that's the first. And oh, something else.
Did you ever go to dances?
Not until we left the home. No. None of us could dance, you know.
Do you remember what happened with Aunt Nellie when she went to the prom? And she wrote that letter to Aunt Kitty?
Yes, and that's right. And she got caught. And of course you know that I went to Little Flower. And this is true. All the seniors got a letter telling us to take a phone book, put the phone book on the boy's lap and sit there. Don't wear patent leather shoes because they reflect up. Now it seemed we took it kind of seriously. I didn't go to the prom. But now it seems like the Roman, but that kind of morality, jeez.
Did anybody even have patent leather shoes?
Yeah, we all had patent leather shoes, yeah. We used to go to, when we were in the home, we used to go to, what's the name of that shoe store? And we had platform soles a long time before they came out again. Beck's shoe store. And the shoes were really cheap. And that's where we all went to get shoes. It was neat when we were able to go and do shopping for ourselves. Because we never were in stores to buy clothes when we were in the home. There was a store up the street from the home. It was the German store. That's what it was called. And this very thin woman used to wait on us. My dad used to take us in there to get anything we needed. Oh, this is funny. Kay, Daddy used to have to buy her a lot of shoes because she lost them or they wore out. And he bought her a pair of shoes, and a couple of days later, she couldn't find one. I swear I thought he was going to haul off and let her have it, but he didn't. But he only made $25 a week. So he didn't really have much money to pass around. And we would never ask him, when we were even young, little kids, he would take us out, and he would stop in the tap room, and we never asked him for anything. It's hard for me even to understand our devotion to him, that we would never tell him anything that he wouldn't want to hear. We tried to keep him away from anything to worry about. And, well, we never asked for I used to be dying for an ice cream cone when you go past. I would never think to say to my father, can I have an ice cream cone? Never. Never. In fact, I was a little afraid of him when I was young because you can't relate to people. I couldn't anyhow. He's my father. I don't ask for anything from my father. And none of us would. That man, he was so loyal to us. Oh, my God. He deserved a medal. He really did. He was a great father. But when he died, he had cancer. and they had found another spot in his lung. He had cancer of the what do you call it? Colon. He had colon cancer. And it was sad. It was very sad, but I was so glad that he didn't have to suffer through all those treatments and everything. And when he died, we were at the hospital, and they told me his roommate told us when we got there that Daddy had been up all night singing Irish songs. And then he died very peacefully, and I felt his foot. You know, it was still warm. I was grateful that he didn't have to suffer.
What year was that?
I was married. Oh, I don't really remember what year. I think it's about 15, 20 years. I'm not sure. But his wife, that was really hard for her. Really hard. When he was in the hospital one time, he had a problem with his stomach. She made me come over and eat dinner. My husband was with me. But she said, I don't have enough for you, Mill. So she just invited me. And nobody liked to go there because she was the worst cook in the world. And my aunt happened to call. My Aunt Nellie Gallagher, our favorite aunt, happened to call. And Mary, all of a sudden I heard Mary going, Jimmy, 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 Jimmy. I was hysterical. And my father even. One time we were all there, and we started to sing. And then Mary started to sing the colonial, there was a wild colonial boy. And we all were hysterical. I had to get up. And I went into the kitchen, and here was my father sitting on his rocker. He had a big rocker in the corner, laughing his head off. And one time we were all there together, and he wasn't talking much. We were having a conversation. So when it was like quiet, he said, that's absurd. Whoever thought Daddy knew that word? It was funny.
Could you always understand them because his throat was so thick?
Yeah, I could. I think because we grew up with it. When I went to Ireland, I couldn't understand them. But, and my youngest boy, my father really liked. And he used to give him beer. Give him a taste of beer. And then he would burp. And my father called him Seamus Ahaka. And that's Gaelic for Dirty Jimmy. He was okay with the kids. He wasn't thrilled with the grandchildren. Nice to pat them on the head. We were the only kids who existed to him. And he used to tell us how he would get down on his knees every night and pray for ye. Yeah, and I know he did.
So when he would come to the home on Sundays with the newspaper, would you be waiting for him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Say you would be waiting for him to come on Sunday.
Yeah, we'd be waiting for him to come on Sundays with the paper. Everybody waited for him, all the kids. Here's Mr. Manning. Everybody would run to get a part of the paper. Great guy. And I remember my father, of course he had a good brogue. Oh, there's the sweeper.
Yeah. Right. That's good. So, what about Sister Carmelite? Did you like her?
Oh, yeah, I love Sister Carmelite. She was one of my favorite nuns. One time she asked everybody, got us all together, to write down what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I put stewardess because I thought that was so glamorous. And she looked at it and she said to me, you might as well say children's nurse. And she gave Aunt Kay an opportunity to go to college,
Let's hear about
Kay was very smart and very, what she did well in school. She really did. And I think she thought, and she was so much more independent than we were, or practically anybody in the place was. So they offered her a scholarship. I forget the name of the place, in Emmitsburg, Maryland. And Daddy talked Kay out of going, which I still think was a mistake. I really do. Because she was really bright, great in arithmetic. She was great. And Daddy said that she would probably have to wait tables down there and do things because he said it'd be like, I guess he thought she would be at their beck and call, which wasn't true even then. I'm really sorry that he did that. I really think that would have really fulfilled Kay. Really.
Do you think that that she regrets not coming?
She says no. She said, I don't because Daddy told me all that, about being a servant and stuff like that. And that's why and Kay was also sensitive. Daddy realized that. Very sensitive. And I guess he was looking at her sensitive side when he didn't really advise her against it. He just told what might happen. So, but she says no, she has no regrets that she didn't go.
So, when you guys, so at the time, did she talk to you guys about that? Did she?
Well, we knew it, but it's so funny. Once we got acclimated, I didn't care if I saw them. We just did our thing, and like I would never say, if I saw Patsy, I wouldn't say, "Hey, hi, Pat," or "Hi, Nellie," "Hi, Kay." No, we didn't. They were like any other kid to us, which I thought was good. We didn't cling together like little orphans, and that's better. Mm-hmm.
Well, when you would go to the movies, did you go with them?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those things we always did together. Going to the movies, and other kids would come too. Bunch of them. But, oh, God, I just thought of something funny. I met this fellow, a young boy, and he said to me, will you go to the movies with me on Saturday? So I went up there, and he wasn't there. So my girlfriend Aggie and I looked up his phone number, and I called. Aren't you coming? It's late. First time, and he showed up, and I wouldn't even go in the movie. I realized what I had done. Like, sort of, so dumb. Calling a guy and saying, aren't you coming? It's late. Like, we wouldn't go into the movies until we would see him, because I didn't want him to think that I didn't go. Oh, God, that was funny.
How old were you?
Let's see, how old was I? I guess I was about 14. Yeah. But and Patsy, we teased Patsy unmercifully. When she used to go, one time she did, I think Kay made it up. Kay was good at making up stuff. And we used to say, Patsy, did you really, when you went to the movies, did you ask the ticket person, I want a little ticket, or I want a, oh shit, I forget. I want because she was the smallest one. She didn't want a whole. I think she meant to say children's. I want a smaller ticket, I think she said. And then, oh God, what else was, and
Sorry,
every time.
Hold on a second, Aunt Mary. Okay, sorry about that.
That's right. When we went to the movies, when we were older, we were allowed to walk out to Germantown to see the movies. And Patsy, being the youngest, whenever we walked like that, she would like hop. I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And everybody would say, shut up, Patsy.
What about when you would go to visit your relatives and take the trolley and everything? Tell me about
When we went to West Philly, we would take a couple of trolleys or even the subway, yeah. And I always hated to go visit my relatives because my father always got drunk. Always, always, always. And embarrassing, really embarrassing. I don't know if my sisters are going to like me saying this. Um, I remember we were going home on the subway from my aunt's in West Philly, and my father was talking to everybody, and he's saying, "Were you ever in Dublin?" And hold the phone, Newt. And every time he said it, I wanted to die. God. And another time down the shore, this friend of his took us to Atlantic City one day, because Daddy didn't have a car, of course. And Daddy was bummed. And somebody landed a Neil and threw it on the boardwalk. Daddy tried to pick it up. He had a crowd around trying to pick up a Neil. And I was like, I didn't believe this. Oh, Daddy. But now,
Did you ever say anything to him?
never, never. I had an incident in high school that really, really broke my heart almost with the two nuns. They sent for, I was pretty quiet then. I didn't like the big school. We went 2 years to an annex of Little Flower. And for your junior and senior year, you went down to what we call the big school. And these two nuns called me down to the office one day. It was so humiliating. And what it was I had been voted for something good in school on the student government. And I had no idea that they would be so mean. You have a button off your belt, and one nun actually threw a pencil at me. I had never been in trouble in that school, never. And I wouldn't tell Sister Carmelite, and I didn't tell Daddy either. I don't want a big fuss, but that, sometimes I still dream about that, and I think, I wish I could see those two nuns and smack them. How could
They called you down to the office to give you this good news? And then
No. They made it clear from the start that I wasn't going to get it. That I was voted for it. I won the thing, but I wasn't going to get it. And I know it was why, because I came from the home. Really. And I know the kids from the home all paid their way through. We didn't pay it, but Sister Carmelite did. They paid for us to go to high school. And I don't know why they treated us like that.
So you felt like you were treated differently than the others?
Oh, yes, I did. It's just, I wish I was, well,
Yeah, Mary, could you say, I felt like we were treated differently?
okay. I felt like we were treated differently. I always felt that way. When we would go to the movies, sometimes the Walton Theater would invite us to go to a Shirley Temple movie or any kind of a movie, and we had to walk in line. And that always embarrassed me. Walk in line up to the movies. It makes you feel a little lower, really.
Because you think people knew where you were coming from.
Right, yes. I mean, who walks in line up to the Walton? And they all knew. Everybody knew the home. Some of them used to stop in, and. But it's just, when you're a little girl, you're kind of embarrassed. Everybody looking at you. I didn't like it.
When the nun at Little Flower threw the pencil at you, what happened to... What did
That's when they said to me, "Look at that. You have a button off your belt." And she threw a pencil at me. I had nobody to sew the button on. No thread, no needle. It was horrendous. And I'm so sorry now I didn't tell Sister Carmelite, because she wouldn't have put up with that. Just mean.
My mom said if Sister Carmelite ever thought that anybody was treating
That's
you
true.
girls differently, she would have.
Yes, Sister Carmelite would have really been, she would have helped me. That's the kind of, that's what you got from Sister Carmelite. She didn't say much, and she didn't mingle much with the other nuns. And I don't think she knew how often we were being hit, because I don't think Sister Carmelite would have stood for that. And I understand from, I don't remember who it was who told me, it was an adult, that she was very, very intelligent, and that came across too. She had a big belly like that, and she would stand there, talk to you with her like this. She was wonderful.
So, were you hit often?
Oh, honey, every day kids were being hit. It was your turn, that's when this happened to me. One Sunday morning, one of the other kids and I were walking up the back steps, and we were singing really loud, Little Maiden of Japan, as loud as we could sing. And we went up to the dormitory, and all of a sudden, this nun came in like a whirlwind, and she took my head and her head and bumped them together. It's a wonder I have a rattled brain. And it hurt. I mean, they didn't care. And she just walked away and never said another word about it. And she did that because they were in church, and they could hear us singing. Well, how bad is that? For Pete's sake. No, they were just, I think they were thwarted. I really do. I think they realized later on in their lives that this was a mistake. Some of them, not all of them.
So, when that incident happened, did you and the other girl then talk about how much you hated
Oh,
her?
yes. Oh, yeah. We talked about all the nuns. That was a big, and you know what was funny? Everybody, like it was such a mystery what the nun's last name was. And somebody would find out and say, Sister May's last name is Craven. And it was Craven. We all knew it like it was, And Sister Benedicta, she's the one with the heads. Her name was Shanahan. And the kids used to get watermelon and put on their hands and say, Shanahan, because we weren't supposed to know. Like it was like knowing something horrible about them. And you could never let them know that you knew their last name. So weird.
Well, anything to amuse yourself, I'm sure.
It was mostly us against the nuns and talking about the nuns. And I think that's why we didn't have much frustration, because we had so many other people who were in the same boat, so many girls, and we could talk to each other about things that, who else were we going to talk to? And we had a girl, Peggy Snyder, I told you about, called me, get out of here, you lazy thing. She died in the home. Yeah, I saw her, and she was in bed, and they had given her dinner, and she said that she couldn't eat it, so I ate it. And she died that night. Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with her or anything. And we had another girl die in the home of heart disease. She was in bed for years. Her heart was so bad.
What was it like when girls died there? Were you all...
I remember Peggy Snyder's funeral, but I don't remember Anna Rafferty's. I really don't. They had something for Peggy in the chapel, in our beautiful chapel. But I don't remember about Anna Rafferty. Oh, let me see. Christmas in the Home.
Let's hear about that.
It was fantastic. I loved it. We all did. It was more religious than Santa Claus stuff. And we used to practice every night. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get some water.
Go ahead. That's what Ryan came back to make you.
practice the choir practice. We were all in the choir every night for about 2 weeks before Christmas. And so you were really in the spirit. And then they would decorate the hall with garland. Oh, it was beautiful. And they had a beautifully shined wooden floor in the hall outside the parlors. And right before Christmas, one of the kids would come around and say, "Who wants to rub in?" They had waxed the floor, and they were looking for volunteers because it was a brick wrapped in like flannel, and you pushed it. And I always volunteered, and I was so sorry every year. Like in the middle of it, I think, I don't want to do this. It takes forever. But you still had to stay and do it. And when you were finished, it gleamed. It really did gleam. It was great. And Christmas morning, one time, your mother, Patsy, Nellie was really like kind of took care of her. She always made sure she was okay and everything. And one Christmas Eve, I don't know where Nellie got the stocking, or she hung up somebody's sock, I don't know. And hung it on, there was a mantelpiece in the dormitory. And she hung it there, and I don't know I forget what she put in it. But I thought that was the sweetest thing. I really did. And Patsy was attached to Nellie. We were talking about
because
Christmas.
Nellie said that Pop-Pop used to tell her to
Yeah,
take care of
take care of the bag. Take care of the bag. Yeah.
So on Christmas morning, what would happen?
We'd have 3 masses, one right after the other, and sing through the whole 3 masses. And then we would go down for breakfast in the refectory, and they had boxes of hard candy on our plates. And after that, went to what they call the clothes room. They tried to get us to call it the auditorium because the Walton had given us velvet curtains. The Walton Theater had given us velvet curtains, and it said W on it. So they hung them upside down to make it look like an M. And I can't remember why they did that. But we would go up there, and Santa Claus would come. And I don't even remember many gifts except the one I got from this woman who gave beautiful gifts. Everybody who got her was lucky, and I got her. And she gave me a houndstooth suit and twin sweaters, yellow, and something else I forget. And she gave me some money. And my sisters were so furious that I got that. So I gave them the money. Here's the money. And then I thought, why did I do that? But it was great. And Patsy, I don't think, she never got Mrs. Hayes. She was the woman who, her husband was a funeral director. But I'm thinking of Christmas.
And then you'd go out with Pop-Pop?
After that, we'd go out. Well, no, I think, did we have turkey on Christmas Day? I forget. I don't think we went out for dinner with Daddy on Christmas. If we went over to Aunt Nellie's, she had a bunch of kids, and I can't remember.
Sometimes did you go to Linton's or something?
Oh, yeah.
For dinner
Yeah.
on Christmas?
Daddy would take us to Linton's or to Woolworths, and then the counter in the Woolworths. And I thought that was terrific. We all did. And he took us to 2 movies. I remember the second movie was called Night Must Fall with Robert Montgomery. Scared the hell out of me. But he was amazing. He really was. And he never gave us gifts. I don't even know whether we got gifts, Christmas gifts, or had a tree or anything when we were home. Because most of these people had just come over, not that long ago. And they don't celebrate it like they do in this country. In Ireland, they don't. Because Mary told me, my father's wife told me, that they're the only ones who had lights out. Nobody does that. It's no big deal. So I don't remember the Christmas there. Oh, and the best part, when the nun would come in to wake us up in the morning, the girls would be like maybe 6 girls with her, and they had blankets around them and candles. And they would sing like a Deste Fidelis or something like that. And one year I did it. I was one of the girls. Loved it. It was great. So much about the home. And oh, the story about me and Patsy and the clothes. I was heavier than all of them, all my sisters. I wore a 12 when they were wearing 9s and 10s. And I graduated from high school, and I had to get a job. So Patsy was invited down the shore. And she took my dresses and stuff, moved the buttons. I had this really nice green skirt. The buttons were here, she moved the buttons. I had nothing to wear to go look for a job. And my father told me I had to go. The only thing I could get into was this black dress with like satin pink stripes here, a peplum. I looked like a prostitute. And there were soldiers and sailors all over downtown then. And they were making like really horrible noises at me and woo, woo, woo. I know I looked like a prostitute. And I had black lipstick on, Russian sable it was, and high heels. Oh my God. I didn't get a job that day.
And what did you do to her?
My father wrote her a letter, I think, telling her to bring my clothes up. I probably yelled at her and got mad, but I don't remember. I never physically fought with any of my sisters but Kay. Never, but no, he was so sweet. She just was. She was born that way. But Patsy, when I heard she joined the band, Margie and Patsy wanted to go to the big school, Little Flower, instead of the annex. So you say that, well, I'll join the band. So you can get right there in your freshman year. I never saw her with the trumpet. Oh, and I have to tell you this. I was elected to be on the jury at Little Flower. And guess who my first customer was? Patsy.
What is the jury?
It's ridiculous. It's like a regular jury, 12 girls. And if somebody did something, we had to decide on the punishment. Oh, God. And then first one up to bat was Patsy. She was late all the time. So she had to go to the jury. I thought, oh my God, my sister.
Do you remember, did she get to defend herself?
I think she had to go to detention quite often. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, she didn't get, are you kidding? You think there is a democracy in Catholic schools? Forget it. But she was, I could tell she was scared. You know, what are they going to do to me? Probably hang me.
So you never saw her practicing her instrument?
No, I would love to have seen her with a trumpet. She didn't know a trumpet from a hole in the wall. She didn't last long.
But
She
you
was
liked-
so cute.
Sorry.
Patsy was so cute. Everybody just liked her immediately. She was like, I don't know, even us. Patsy was always the baby, you know, the youngest. And she was, you know, we watched out for her, and especially Nellie. That was, you said, Daddy had always told that to Nellie, to take care of Patsy. And she did. Hmm.
What about at the home and the charges that you had? Do you remember who took care of you or who you took
Yes.
care of?
I don't remember who. I remember who took care of me. And her name was Margaret. And they called her Jigs. So I was scared to death of her. She was a big crank. I was scared to death of her. So for confirmation, I asked her, what is your real name? Because I was thinking of taking Jigs, but then I realized, for when you get your name at confirmation, I picked Margaret so she'd be nicer to me.
Did it
uh,
work?
no. She was just cranky. But I must have had charges of myself. I think when you were in 6th grade, that's when they assigned you a smaller kid to take care of. And I don't remember any of the kids I took care of. And I'm sure you know about the towels and all that stuff in the bathroom.
So well, tell me about it.
Well, little kids, like 4 or 5 years old, we'd have to put a towel around them when they were in the tub. And you couldn't hardly wash them. Maybe that was the reason. Don't wash from here down. It was crazy. And even they had 2 closed bathrooms out in the hallway right next to the big bathroom. And when you were in high school, you were allowed to use those tubs. And the nuns would call in, do you have your towel on? That's terrible.
Did you ever not have it on?
I never had it on when you were in there. They couldn't see. Everybody didn't wear a towel in there. Even taking a shower, the kids had to wear towels. Positive. And I think I told you about the nun who chased Patsy out of my bed when she was so sick. That's what they think. It's really crazy. I don't think there was any necessity to do something like that. Put a little girl in a towel, tiny little girl.
And no one ever said to them,
Of
what
course
for?
not. No, we wouldn't question them about any rule that they made because we would get in trouble. So,
What about the chores you had to do?
yes, we all had to do chores, and they got changed every 3 months. And I had some pretty easy ones, but I had some. One chore was for 3 months making like 10 beds before you go to school. Saturday, changing the beds. And I told you before that my father used to give us 50 cents. I would lie on a bed. Some weeks I got them done really fast. Then other weeks I would just lie on the bed, and it was 4 o'clock before I knew it. No beds made. And I would call out, anybody want to make 50 cents? Make my beds. And I always had to do it myself anyhow.
You did? You couldn't even get anybody to do
No.
50 cents?
Mm-mm. And I worked in the chapel, and I used to serve the priest breakfast. The priests were treated like kings. They really were. Whoever came to say Mass, we had a beautiful parlor and another room where we served the priest, right next to the parlor. And I did it for a long time. He never said a word. I mean, this one fat one we had, Father Riley, he had a clicker. He actually had a clicker to click off how many children went to confession. Then it would be find out who didn't go. Every week we had to go, every single week. And I remember my girlfriend and we used to go over to the shrine for the novena. And we would carry pocketbooks, little pocketbooks. And then when we went there, it was the same ritual all the time. We would open our pocketbooks, take everything out, put them on our lap, put them back. A little while later, take everything out, put them back. because we weren't even paying attention to the novena. We used to read, they had these books, pamphlets like, and in the back of the book, they had letters of people whose prayers were answered, and we used to read them in church there. And when they changed them, they would keep them in the booklet for a while, and when they had new ones, we were so excited. Hey, look, they're new. And we would go downstairs. They had a little museum down there. And they had all kinds of things about Chinese, too. But I told you in first grade with the rickshaw. And we went every week down there to look at them. And sometimes we would meet Uncle Packy, my father's brother. And Kay was his favorite. He was her godfather. He used to give her a nickel and completely ignore us. At Christmas time, oh, I loved this. Uncle Packy would bring a big box of chocolates, and for the four of us, which I thought was really nice.
What about your aunts? Did they come at Christmas?
Oh, this is funny. Every once in a while they came, and a banana, the bottom part of a banana, you cut that off, and I used to say, is Aunt Kitty and Aunt Nellie going to come today? Because they gave us $1. Cut that off and look at it, and in your mind, it either says yes or no. You didn't, according to what you're thinking. I said, oh yes, it's on the banana bottom. They're going to come today. And they used to give us $1, and I used to run up to the store and get cashmere bouquet powder, smelly soap, all kinds of stuff like that. But you could get for $1, then it's a lot. But yeah, I enjoyed when they used to come.
How did you know about looking in the banana?
I don't know. Somebody made it up. I don't know.
That's
I
funny.
don't know who made it up. But I always did it. And I used to do it a lot, hoping they'd come. Well, they were working out girls, and maids. And they only got Thursdays off. So,
That's it, Aunt Maris.
okay.
It's over. Should we do a room tour?
Yes. So this is room 10, Aunt Mary's living room.